Hey, everybody. So, I'm going to tell you a little story about myself here. And my wife loves this story. You're going to hear her cackling like a hyena in the background when I tell this story. Uh, well, it's true. I mean, she's going to be laughing hard, y'all. So, this is the story of the first time I got inebriated. Okay? I'm talking like really sauced. I'm not a drinker. Do not drink. Don't care for alcohol. My mom said on my 21st birthday or right there around it, hey, let's go do some wine tasting. And I'm like, sure, I'll go with you. So we go to a local winery that's in the area, and they give you these little shot glasses that are like an ounce, ounce and a half, something like that. And I'm thinking, there's no way this is going to get me drunk. Boy, was I wrong. And apparently, when I get to drinking, I like going down to the local pond at this place, or lake, and they got these little feeders where you can put a quarter in, turn the knob, and you get a little handful of corn, and you can feed the ducks and whatnot. We'll get to that in a minute. So, we're doing this wine tasting. It was like $20, and you could taste as many of these wines as you wanted. There's also a bucket there that I had no idea at the time, and this is where I'm not a connoisseur of wine or wine tasting at all, that you're supposed to take the sip, swish it around in your mouth, and then spit it in the bucket. This concept didn't calculate because I didn't see anybody else doing this, so I had no idea. Now, this winery was producing wines that was like 15 and 18 and 20% alcohol. Again, I am new to alcohol. I don't drink alcohol. So this is catching up to me really fast, even though I'm a big guy, because I haven't consumed this stuff. So after about 15 of these shots, roughly 2 glasses of wine, I'm feeling really good. Well, I had probably 2 more glasses combined of this wine because I found this one particular wine that I liked. And you got unlimited tastings for $25. So I was like, yeah, give me some more of this. And it was really sweet. Apparently, I like a really sweet wine. I do not like the dry wines that are sour and bitter. Do not care for that at all. And this was a really, really sweet grape wine. And it tastes really fruity and really good. And apparently it all went to my head because I was sauced. I told my mother I was going to go down to the lake. And this is where it got interesting. So I go down there and I got a pocket full of quarters. And I see the ducks and the geese. And I'm like, well, I'm going to feed the ducks. So I put the quarter in, I turn the knob, get a handful of corn. The ducks and the geese get up, and I start throwing the corn out, and they're pecking the corn. I get the bright idea, I'm going to catch me one of these ducks. So I put some corn down by my foot, and these ducks finally come up, and they're pecking the corn. Like I said, this is a true story, y'all. This actually happened. I think that's how I got this dent in my forehead right here. You'll understand that later. So the ducks come up. They finally realize I'm going to keep putting corn down there. So I real slowly reach down by my foot, yoink, grabbed one up by his neck. I get him up in my arms, and I'm petting the duck, and he's there, doing his little quacking thing, and I'm petting the duck. Well, then the geese come up, and I'm like, well, I ain't never caught a goose before. I heard they're mean, but I'm not in my right mind at that point in time. Alcohol kind of went to my head a little bit. I got that wine fuzz going on. So I put more corn out. Here come the geese. Well, I reached down real slow and yoink, I yanked me up a goose. And I got this big old goose under my arm now. And I'm petting the goose. And the goose, he's pecking my head a little bit. It's not hurting, but he's pecking my head a little bit. He grabbed a hold of my ear, tugging on my ear. Didn't faze me. Did not faze me. Okay, duck, 3 to 5 pounds. Goose, 8 to 12, maybe. Well, I didn't think it could get any better than that, but then the swans came up. This is a 25-pound bird. Maybe. Might have been more like 35. Swans come up. This is not a petting zoo. These are out in the wild. They don't like people. These are not friendly animals. I do not suggest people do this. Because I'll tell you why this dent got my forehead right here. So I'm feeding the ducks and the geese. I let go of the goose. And I see my mom walking down. And there again, I'm not all right in the head. And I'm feeding them. And I get the bright idea to hold my hand out for the swan to come up and peck the corn out of my hand. So I hold it out. And the swan comes up. And I take his other hand. And I wait for the opportune time. And yoink, I grab him by the neck. And I wrestle this bird. All right, now, I'm a big guy. I'm 6 foot, 300 pounds. At that time, I was 6 foot, about 280. So I've not changed much in the last 20 years. 23, 24 years. I finally wrestle this bird. And I'm bear hugging this bird with both arms. And I'm happy because I've caught this swan. The whole time this swan is doing this all over my head. And I got these big old goosebumps coming all over my head. I mean, big old knots. And of course, it's pecking me in the forehead. That's how I got that dent right there. He pecking me in the forehead. And my mom coming down. And I'm like, Mom, I caught me a swan. It's at this point in time that one of the people that's like running the petting zoo comes down and goes, sir, you cannot hold the wildlife. But I caught him. Sir, you cannot hold the wildlife. You need to put the swan down. This thing is beating the bejesus out of my head. I mean, he's pecking the fire out of me. Cut my ear open. I mean, he could have ripped my ear off for that matter. I wouldn't have known. I was just glad I got the swan. I'm surprised my wife ain't over here cackling like a hyena because she loves this story. But anyway, I caught this big swan. The guy comes down, tells me I can't do it. My mom looks at me and she goes, you ain't driving home. And I said, I feel fine. And she goes, yeah, okay. She says, you don't look fine. And I'm like, I feel fine. And she goes, no. She says, you ain't fine. I woke up the next morning. I don't know who it was that hit me in the face with a ball bat. Or a ball peen hammer. I had no idea what had happened to me. And I asked my mama, I said, Mom, who did I get in a fight with? She said, a 30-pound bird. And I said, huh? She goes, you went down to the daggone pond and was feeding the ducks and the geese and the swans and decided you was going to pick up a swan and he just pecked the fire out of your head. That's why you got all them knots on your head. And that's probably why you got 2 black eyes and you got 4 stitches in your left ear. And I said, I picked up a what? And she goes, you picked up a swan. And I looked at my mom and I said, I don't think I need to drink no more. And she goes, I think that's a bright idea, son. So I ain't drink after that. I learned my lesson that when I get to drinking, I like picking up stuff that I shouldn't be picking up. Luckily, it was just birds and it wasn't something else. God bless y'all. Hope you like the story. It's all 100% true. This is a factual thing about me. Be safe, y'all. Peace.